Hi, welcome to today's video. My name's Paul. So today is a wet in wet loose watercolor landscape. I'm also trying out a new camera. So you'll notice in the bottom right hand corner there's this kind of annoying timestamp. Try to ignore that. I didn't set it up on the camera, so therefore it's telling me it thinks it's the 1st of January 2020. This was recorded on the 13th of October 2020, so just try to ignore that timestamp. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it. Also, the focus is a little bit off, at least in the first part of the video. I think the problem is the top half of the paper is further away from the camera than the bottom half of the paper. And that's to do with the position of the camera and also the fact that the board, the paper's taped down onto a wooden board, and that wooden board is sitting at an angle of about 30 or 40 degrees. So it just makes one part of the paper further away than the other part. So I have to try and figure out how to do these things. This painting is one of these very sort of wet in wet, quite loose paintings that I occasionally do. So in the second half, well, from here, I lift the board up so it's almost vertical, so the focus is a bit better across the whole paper. So this painting is similar to other ones I've done. It's limited palette, it's an open composition, and it's very, very loose, wet in wet style. I also today wanted to just very briefly talk a little bit about Pinterest. And Pinterest, I use it for three different things. The first thing that I use it for is discovering other artists. So as well as painting and producing art, I love looking at other people's art as well. And it's very interesting to see what other sort of contemporary artists are doing. And of course, for me, I'm very interested in landscape painting, and there's lots of very talented landscape artists out there who are creating all sorts of very interesting contemporary landscape paintings. And Pinterest is one good way, one interesting and simple and free way of discovering some of these artists. You know, with Pinterest, if you've never used Pinterest, what you do, it's similar to, say, Instagram. You create a post, except they call it a pin, and it's just an image. But with Pinterest, that image also has an associated URL or web address. So if I find a pin that I really like by an artist that I've never seen before, there's a pretty good chance that that pin will have a URL which is maybe their Instagram account or their Etsy shop or their website, so I can find a bit more about them and see some more of their artwork. So like I say, it's a good way of discovering other artists. Second way that I use Pinterest is kind of a private art gallery. You can be the creator of your own private online art gallery. What you can do is, with Pinterest, you can create what they call boards, and boards are just collections of pins. So I have collections for abstract art, landscape art, still life art, many different types. I have maybe 50 or 60 boards now. So that allows me to collect art by artists that I know, like Van Gogh and stuff, but also artists that are new to me. And it allows me to group them into collections, so I can have landscape and abstract and so on. The third way that I used Pinterest is then self-promotion, or marketing, if you like. Now I know the phrases self-promotion and marketing are a bit sort of cringy, and a lot of people don't like them, including myself. But the simple fact is, if you want to take your art career seriously, especially if you're trying to make a living or part of your living from art, or even if you just want other people to see and enjoy your artwork, you're going to have to get involved in self-promotion, whether that's online or offline, or both. And in the case of online promotion, you can use things like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest. And I think Pinterest has a couple of advantages over, say, Instagram or Facebook or YouTube as well. So the first advantage is, when I first got started on Instagram, I found that almost nobody saw my posts, and it took almost forever to start building up a few followers and getting some likes and some comments so that the algorithm started putting my images in front of more people. With Pinterest, you have followers, but that's kind of irrelevant. What's important on Pinterest is the number of unique visitors per month that you get to your Pinterest account. And that seems to depend not on the number of followers or likes that you get, but just how active you are on the platform. And it's much easier to be just active on the platform and creating pins every day than trying to get likes and comments and all of that sort of Instagram nonsense. So I just found that after a few months I was getting close to 100 and then close to 200,000 unique visitors every month. There is no way I would get that many people seeing my artwork on Instagram. To be honest, even after a year and a half on Instagram, if I put up a post, I'm lucky if I get 50 people actually seeing that post. If I put something up onto Pinterest, on a bad day, I'll get 1,000 people seeing it. So, not an advertisement for Pinterest, but just 3 ways that I use Pinterest. And so far anyway, I've found Pinterest to be easier to work with and just produces better results for me in terms of self-promotion rather than, say, Instagram. Okay, this is the final painting. I was partly happy with it, partly not. At one point I started scratching the paper, as I sometimes do, and I think I've made a bit of a mess of it, but you know, you live and learn with these things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, if you'd like to subscribe, just click on the big red button below, and hopefully see you in the next video.